Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning. Regarding this program that we are going to talk about, I'm very pleased and delighted to have Cindy or Mrs. Cindy Gottstein, who is the program manager from the program manager for the Master of International Development and Economics from the HTW Berlin. For those of you who don't know so much about HTV or HTW, it's a public university of applied science, which is based in Berlin and has 2 campuses. It's considered as one of the top public universities of applied sciences here in Berlin, with top alumni and students that have been successful all over the world, not only here in Germany. But today we would like to talk about a very special program, which is the Master of International Development and Economics. Before we go into that, the main theme here is about studying in Germany and affordability. And this is important to underline because study abroad is becoming more and more interesting for many students, but the issue of financing is also an aspect that hinders many students to access international education. There are scholarships, there are privately funded students, but there are also programs that are very affordable. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to Ms. Gottstein, because I find this program to be, one, very affordable, but also very impactful, particularly for those students that are coming from developing countries, because some of the topics that will be covered are very relevant to our economics situation in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in West Africa, and so on. So without wasting so much time, I would like to welcome Cindy to briefly introduce and tell us who she is and what she does at the HTW University of Applied Sciences. Cindy.
Hi, Stephen, and hello, everyone. Many thanks for the invitation. Maybe a couple of words on me and my position at the university. So I'm the program manager for the master's program in International and Development Economics, and I have a long-standing experience doing this job. So I've been in this position for almost 20 years, guiding students during the application process, also during studies. And then we also actually do have a very strong alumni network. So all of this is part of my job. All of this is what I can give advice on. And yeah, you'll be in touch with me or one of my assistants from your very first email until maybe after 20 years after graduation, you'll come back to the university and then you'll see me again. Actually, this is what's going to happen on the 19th of July. We have our graduates coming that graduated 20 years ago. So all of this is what I'm doing, what I can advise on, and maybe today we specifically want to talk about how you can apply to the university and how you can actually benefit from studying here. Stephen, you're muted.
Yes, correct. So thank you so much, Cindy, for that introduction, knowing that you've been there already 20 years. So some of the students who have gone through your hands probably are important people all over the world. They have already started families. So thanks that you're doing this job. And I'm so happy and delighted that you gave us this time. So Cindy, would you kindly take us through what is it exactly this program, the Master of International Development Economics, as in the abbreviation MIDE, what does it stand for and what are the key features of this program?
Well, the program basically focuses on international trade relations with a special focus on development. So you'll have a couple of mandatory classes that everybody has to study, which is mainly microeconomics, macroeconomics, international economics, and theories of development, also public finance, and all of this related to the development field and the development perspective and looking at developing countries and their specific challenges. And then we also do have optional courses. Every student has to take 7 from different fields. And these electives will allow you to specialize maybe in a certain field. Maybe you're more interested in finance just because you're working in the ministry, you want to go into the central bank, or in the banking sector as such. Maybe you are more interested in environmental issues and climate change, then you take courses that lead into this direction. We also have electives on social policies, foreign direct investment, but basically the underlying focus is finance as such.
All right. So it looks to me a very interdisciplinary program because you're talking about finance, there is economics, macro, microeconomics, and
Yes.
social policy. So who would be the right candidate to qualify for this kind of program?
Well, in general, that's general admission requirement is that you need to have an undergraduate degree. That is basically it. In general, what I see, and from like the number of applications we receive and from the selection criteria, it is advantageous if you have studied a couple of economics courses. That's from a perspective of getting into the program, but also if we look at if you want to succeed in the program, then it is important to have economics knowledge. It's not that you cannot make it, but you would have to study very hard. Yeah. So basically, I would recommend everyone to have the economics knowledge for those two reasons. First, to enter the program, but also to perform well. Because in the program, which is taught on the master's level, the professors will expect our students to have basic economics knowledge. And whether you do this yourself, because you've studied computer science before, or whether you have studied economics, there will not be a difference. Yeah, it's good to be in somewhat prepared in the economics field.
I get it. So economics is very important as a basis for this, even though it is not mandatory for anyone to have studied it, but it will be important for someone who is doing this program to succeed and thrive on the program.
Exactly.
And in terms of requirements, again, do you require English proficiency level? What kind of exams would you accept? And does it also apply to students who coming from country where English is the medium of instruction?
Well, if you're coming from a university where English was the medium of instruction, then we will not require any further proof. Then this is sufficient for us to give you admission as such. Please be aware that I'm only speaking for the master's program in international and development economics. This may be different for other programs at our university or other universities in Germany. If you have not studied in English, then you'd have to submit an official language test. The biggest ones are the TOEFL test or the IELTS. So for the TOEFL, we require a score of 96 in the internet-based test, and for the IELTS, we require a score of 7. If you do not have any of these language test results, but something else, then anything that confirms that your level is at least C1 of the CEFR, Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, this will also be acceptable. The language test shouldn't be older than 2 years.
Very good. Thanks for clarifying that. And any specific number of years of working experience required for a candidate seeking to apply for this program?
No, not if you want admission. If you're only seeking for admission, then any candidate is welcome. This is also often a question not only from applicants who have just graduated and do not have working experience, but also someone who has maybe a long-standing experience and graduated many years ago. This is also not a problem. We welcome all applications and we welcome all students, actually also from all over the world. yes, maybe let me speak about the general selection criteria.
Yeah.
So we will rank all applications according to our ranking criteria, which is the average grade, the CGPA, 40%, and then the recommendation letter. No, I'm sorry, the letter of motivation. There is no recommendation letter required. The letter of motivation accounts for 35% of the average grade, or average grade for the ranking, and then 25% go for the economics classes that someone has taken. So if someone has a very good CGPA, of course, with this 40% that go into the ranking, this is already like a good basis. But you should also take good care of writing your letter of motivation, because 35% is like a high criterion. And for example, someone who didn't graduate with the best CGPA can actually also give their application a push into the right direction. The economics classes, this is the 25%. That's why I'm saying it is valuable if you have like a background, a small background, at least in economics, because it is easier then to get into the program.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that selection criteria. It's very transparent, and I think it gives candidate a chance even to see how good they are standing to getting into this program. When it comes to intakes, academic cycles, when do students apply and when are the semesters starting?
Because we have a very international student body and we receive many applications from abroad, the application cycle is a bit untypical compared to other programs in Germany, I would say. I'm not sure if also abroad. So the program always starts in April. So the program only starts once per year in the summer semester in April. And we accept applications until the 30th of September of the previous year. Usually we start accepting applications from the 1st of July until the 30th of September. And then we'll run through this selection process according to the ranking that I have just explained. And then the admission letters are usually sent by the end of October, early November. So we try to be fast, because we know that it does take time to get an appointment at the visa office and to actually then have the visa in your hands. That is also quite a long process. So that's why we need to start earlier and be fast. And we try to.
It's very important that you're mentioning that aspect of the unknown when it comes to the German embassies or the visa appointments. In some countries, you can get it very easily, and in other countries, it can be such a long wait. So since the candidates are able to get their admissions, let's say by November latest, that means they have enough time to apply. And when is the last deadline when they should be able to show up at the university campus? When do they have to show up for the orientation?
The program starts on the 1st of April. So this is when students are expected to be at the university. If I could recommend from my vast experience, is that it does make sense to come a bit earlier, to maybe come in March already to take care of the formalities, to maybe get a place to stay, because that has proven to be difficult from abroad. Maybe we speak about the situation also a bit later, Stephen, or maybe I can mention that now, that universities in Germany usually do not offer dormitories. So it's in the hands of students to find a place to stay, which in Berlin has become somewhat a challenge. It's not impossible, but it takes time. And that's why I would recommend to come early to take care of this, to take care of the address registration, to open your bank account, to settle a bit, you know your way around, and then have the mind to focus on your studies right away. Because that's the thing, if we're now talking about people coming from abroad, it takes time to get used to the system, to like the education and how universities lectures take place is maybe also a bit different from what you've been used to. So that's why it's good to have like all those formalities out of your way and be able to focus more on your studies.
Yeah, you're right. On the issue of arrival and post-arrival support, I think this is where most students need a lot of support, because unlike in most of the other countries where universities have their own accommodation on the campus, it's quite different here that you have the student network bodies that do arrange that, but it's also based on first come, first serve. There's no guarantee that you will get accommodation through the student accommodation residence. So quite a number of students look for accommodation privately or in homestays through friends. And in some cases, you even have students who arrive maybe with an Airbnb and then try to settle and then get into that, which is not the best solution. So I always advise my students, whenever I counsel and guide them, to make this a priority. As soon as they start applying for the visas, they should already start thinking about the next day when they arrive, where are they going to stay, and then make enough plans and arrangements for that. Yeah, so thanks. And I also know that you are very personally involved into that you help very much your students. So Cindy, could you briefly tell me again about the application process? You've selected the candidates, you've sent out the admission letters, and now what next? What do they have to do?
So there is a fee for the program, and it's called service fee. It's 2,500 euros. And then there is a semester fee that is due at all universities in Germany. At HTW Berlin, it's around 320 euros currently per semester. So the semester fee has to be paid every semester, but this service fee, 2,500 euros, is actually only to be paid once for the whole program, which is 3 semesters. So this amount has to be paid until a given deadline, which is the 1st of December of the year that you have submitted your application. This deadline is very strict, and it is also not possible to pay the amount in installments. This is a question that I frequently also receive. So this is not possible. So this is one. This is the first step, of course, to secure your seat at the university. But then, as I've mentioned before, it is also important to take care of the visa as such, which means you have to set up an appointment at the embassy. This is normally nowadays done online. And at the same time, I would encourage everyone to also start right away preparing the documents that you need for the embassy. Now, some of the documents you obviously have at hand, like your passport or your university documents. And then what is an important issue if you're not coming on a scholarship, which is very rare to get a scholarship into a German university. Maybe we can also talk about this a bit later. So the embassy will require you to provide proof that you have enough funds to sustain your living in Germany. And how this is normally done is by a blocked account. So you have to put an amount into this account around 11,000 euros. And what this account is it's kind of, it's blocked. That's why it's called blocked account. And you can only take 1/12 of this amount every month. So this way, the embassy makes sure that you have at least the financial means to sustain your living in Germany for 1 year. So this is something very important to think about. And actually, I would say not only think about it when you have the admission, but think about it when you think about applying to a German university, no matter which university, even if you don't want to study international and development economics and you say, oh, this is interesting, but maybe I want to do something else. This is something that you should really think about. I would also like to say that it is very affordable, I would say, to study in Germany, even though, I mean, yes, maybe you have to have this blocked account and provide the proof of the financial means, because studying is very affordable, I would say. Some programs don't even charge the service fee that we have, the 2,500 euros, then it's only the semester fee. And then, yes, you have your blocked account, you have the financial means for a year, which gives you a free mindset to really focus on your studies and to arrive and, you know, get into the system and maybe take the financial pressure away of having to find a job immediately. But what I want to say, and this is what many German students actually also do, they finance their studies by working part-time. And our international students are also allowed to work part-time. And yes, that maybe prolongs your study period, but in the end, you will leave the university with almost no debt compared to studying in Australia, to studying in England or the US, where, yes, maybe you have a scholarship, but maybe you only have a partial scholarship. It's very, very expensive. So this is really something to think about. Yes, 11,000 euros is a lot, and this is not the only thing, because you have to also fly to Germany, maybe, yeah. So it's maybe 15,000, yeah, to have at the moment that you apply. But in general, this is, compared to other countries, still minor investment into a very, very good education.
Yeah, you've touched a lot of important points there, but I would say the key word is investment. And you're saying the right word is minor investment in comparison, of course, to the major study destination like Canada, US, Australia, or even within Germany if you're going for private university. So just to get this information straightforward, you're saying the program, the Master of International Development and Economics, for the whole master's program, students will only need to pay the service fee of 2,500. It's for the duration of how many, 3-4 semesters?
Of 3 semesters.
3 semesters.
And if you take longer, then it still does not
affect.
It's a one-time payment, and no matter how long you take, and yes, for us, no matter how long you take, but if you're from abroad, please keep in mind there's also a visa office that is at your back, so you cannot continue endlessly. This is something that I should say.
Yeah, we are not looking for career students. We are looking for students who want to come, complete their master's degree, and then maybe transition into great careers after that.
Exactly. But I don't want someone to worry about, okay, I'm coming to Germany, I maybe have to work part-time, and I also want to excel during my studies. So maybe I do need a semester longer. What is the financial implication? Well, the financial implication is, yes, you have to pay the semester fee. I said before, 320 euros at the moment, but not more than that.
Yeah. And probably you would like to add on, the semester fee is actually a fee that is very relevant to the students, because with this fee, they have access to the libraries, they have access to the public transport systems, and with a card, they can also access subsidized food at the school canteen, right?
Exactly, yes.
So it's
a good investment in general. It's, I mean, you get your money's worth.
Very interesting. And then the mention of blocked account or this proof of fund, it's a requirement that student either way will need to show. Even if you're going to any other country, you need to show your bank statements that you're financially capable. And I've just been attending a conference recently in Kigali, and the discussion was about the proof of fund for Australia, which is increased, and Canada and the UK, and probably the US will follow soon. So this requirement is meant to enable students to be sure that they can afford the accommodation and the life expenses So if 11,000, let's say 208 euros is put on that account, it's your own money and it's your own for your own use and for your own welfare. So I wouldn't even consider this as a disadvantage because it's your money that you're going to use when you arrive in Germany. So altogether, I would say the student should plan way around 15,000 euros to be able to settle in with that program to cover the requirement for the proof of fund and pay the service fee and maybe even the school, this semester beitrag, or what is it called? The 320 euros.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it's a very affordable program, and I can't imagine anyone failing to attend this because it's too expensive. But you also mentioned there are some possibilities for students to access scholarships or the DAAD scholarship. What does one require to apply for that?
So, well, the DAAD, maybe not everyone is familiar, is the German Academic Exchange Service. The German word is different and the abbreviation is DAAD. This is the biggest scholarship organization for students who want to come and study in Germany, or also for German students who want to study abroad. And they have different scholarship lines, and our program is funded as a program that is relevant to developing countries. And we are able to give a certain number of scholarships to applicants who come from a developing country. So this is the first prerequisite, that you need to be from a developing country in order to apply for this scholarship. And then there is also the degree. Of course, you need to provide proof that you fulfill the admission requirements, but on the other hand, you wouldn't get the scholarship if you can't get into the program. So in general, you need to be from a developing country, and you need to have 2 or more years of professional experience. You shouldn't have more than 6 years of professional experience, though. And then what you need to do in addition to submitting an application for just the program as such is that, and it's all done via the university, so you do not have to send a specific application to the DAAD. No, when you apply to our program, you do this on our webpage. The application is for free also. And you will be guided through the application process, and you'll be asked, are you applying for the scholarship? And then the documents that you need to submit are listed there, but I will mention them. So it's the DAAD scholarship application form that you find on their webpage. It is a checklist that you find on their webpage. And then what is important also is that you need to provide proof of your professional experience. So this is normally a letter from HR confirming that you have been with this company or organization for at least the past 2 years. So if you have had a career change, or you've worked in a different company a year ago, then you would need this letter from your previous employer and the current one. So it's basically a very short letter confirming that you are or have been with the organization. You've been working full time, mentioning the position. What is important, and this is very, very important, I cannot stress this enough, it must be on official letterhead. It must be dated, should be a recent date, stamped and signed. And then you will also need to submit a recommendation letter. This usually comes from your supervisor at work. Could also be HR, but normally this is a letter from your supervisor, commenting also on your strength and maybe weaknesses, and giving some more personal details on you as a person, and maybe your ambitions, and maybe what makes you stand out among your colleagues. Also, this must be on official letterhead, dated, stamped, and signed.
So
what I could also mention is maybe that it is better if you have professional experience, or advantageous if you have working experience in a field that is related to the study program, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. And in terms of age range, are there any students that you would say, if you're above this age limit, that maybe don't apply, or anyone can apply?
Anyone can apply. We welcome all nationalities, all ages, all religions. This is maybe something also that is very interesting about this study program, that it is a very, very international student body. So every year we have 20 or more different nationalities, and people really do come from all over the world, from Asia, from Africa, from Latin America, also from Europe, from the US. This is very interesting. It's also something that the professors build on. So you shouldn't expect only lecturers, but you should expect case studies, class discussions, and learning from each other. This is also a very important part of the program, and also a very strong alumni network, because what we try to do a lot to connect students, for them to stay in touch over a lifetime. And what we hear very often is that, I don't know, Simon, who's now working in South Africa, and John, who is in Rwanda, and they are working in a similar field on certain issues, they are still in touch, because they're like, okay, how is it done in South Africa? How do you do it in Rwanda? So this is also something very important and valuable, and that is something that I think makes the program stand out, because you leave us with a very good education, but also with an excellent network. I would like to stress that.
Very important, the alumni and the strong network. Continuing on that same line, besides the technical skills, obviously they are going to learn, which other skills do you impart, or do you think students are going out with when they finish the 3 semesters or the 4 semesters?
Well, you will come back or finish your studies with a lot of soft skills also. That comes from what I've mentioned before, the international teamwork. Actually, some students during studies complain that there is too much of group presentations and too much misunderstanding. And in the end, when you have graduated and you are working wherever you will end up, our graduates will say, this was the best that ever happened. Yes, it was challenging. Yes, it was too much work, but it paid off. So I would say this is the most important soft skill that our students will get, but also really being able to work in international teams. Because, everybody would like to say, yes, I can communicate internationally, or I have been to Germany and studied abroad and I have international experience. Yes, you do, but you will really have hands-on international experience of working with peers from very different backgrounds. And this is so helpful later on, this multicultural awareness.
Hands-on international experience.
Hands-on international experience, and we try to stress that, like at the beginning of the study program, during the first semester, we go on an excursion with our students away from Berlin to the Baltic Sea, usually, and we do have an intercultural training. This is for 2 purposes, basically. The first one is that it is important to realize and to maybe know that if you feel bad during your first semester, or you don't feel comfortable in the country, this is something that many people experience. It's called culture shock. So at first you maybe be very happy, you like everything is so great, and then you realize, at home everything is better, and why did I do something like this? So we're doing this intercultural training to become aware, to be able to speak about it, to see that you're not the only one in this situation, and that actually it will be better. This is a normal process. This is the one intention, but the second one is actually we're going away with the group. So you will also there work in teams. You will work on intercultural competencies, and then you'll be there, you'll be together, you spend the evening together. So it's also networking again. Every year I'm going on this excursion, and every year the students come and say, wow, this was amazing. I was able to talk to person ABC. I've never talked to this person in class, but actually he or she's been quite interesting, and now we're friends. And I'm like, well, you've been studying together for whatever, at least 6 weeks, and how come you don't know each other? But yes, you come, you always have your small group of friends that you hang out with, and then yes, maybe the others are there, you talk a word or two, but you don't really get to know each other. So this is also a very good chance to get to know each other and to grow as a team.
Right.
And then this is something we do, which I cannot promise that we'll do it every year, but we have done it in the past. So we're taking the students on an excursion to Geneva during the second semester, and we are visiting international organizations. So usually we're going to the WTO, to the ILO, we're going to the UNCTAD, and there's an organization, smaller organization, it's called the South Center. There's only people working there from developing countries, giving basically advice to other employees in these organizations who are from developing countries, but maybe need some extra training. So we're visiting these organizations, and yeah, our students find this very valuable as well.
Great. A lot of stuff that you mentioned there, but just to underscore one important aspect, you say culture shocks are real. Students, when they leave their home countries, everything changes, lifestyle changes, the environment changes, even the language changes. The good thing, the program is taught in English, but they are going to be immersed in a totally new environment. But that you provide the support they need to be able to make it on that program, that's very recommendable. I understand from the website and also some of the stories I've read, the alumni from this program make it greatly wherever they go. Do you have any personal stories of students you know by names who have finished this Master of International Development and Economics that are doing great things inside or outside of Germany?
Many. Very many. I mean, I encourage everyone to go to our webpage and read the success stories. What I would like to say is, yes, it is an economics program, but you can succeed in any field that you would like to do that has, of course, a broad relation to the topic of the program. But our students and then graduates can be a professor. We have a couple of professors in Germany and abroad. You can be working with the World Bank in Washington. We have a couple of students working there's actually a small MIDE group or country group that is living in Washington, D.C., working for the World Bank or the American Development Bank, for example. So many students are also returning to their home countries to make a contribution there, working in ministries, working in NGOs, working in central banks. And then, I mean, it doesn't matter to us why you come to Germany and why you want to study here. But I mean, even if you want to, I don't know, maybe you don't want to make a change in your country, you want to actually live in Germany or Europe. This is also a good stepping stone to come here, to have a good education, and then start in an organization in Germany and work here. This is also actually what many students do. Or they come and they have the intention to go back home, and then in the end they end up staying. Or they just gain working experience for a couple of years and then you go home. These are all options that are possible. If this is something that you're thinking about, then let me give you one recommendation. And that is, and also in general, I would advise everyone to try and learn some basic German at least before you come, because it will make your life here so much easier. If you want to stay, then please do continue. The experience is it may be difficult. Why is that? Because you're in an international program. The language is English. We have so many students coming from all over the world. They're coming in. They don't know anybody in Berlin, so you'll make friends easily. But in this group, and the common language in this group is English, then you're taught in English, so you might well get the feeling that, oh, it's not even necessary to learn German. Which, yes, on one hand is true, because you can also find a job in Germany if you only speak English, but your chances are limited. So I would encourage everyone, try to know some basic German before you come. And if in your mind there is the possibility to stay, do more and continue.
Wonderful. So you're saying the program enables you to access careers globally, but for those who would like to stay, at least make it a point to learn the German language, because it will help, it will facilitate your integration here in Germany.
Yes.
And I totally agree with you on that. We're closing this, Cindy. I know you're very busy, but just maybe one more or two more questions would be, for those students that you have talked about who have made it, that you know even by names, what do you think were the ingredients to their success? Because you can also do this program, which is very good and the content is great, and you fail to make it into those international jobs. What are the things that are so unique in those students that make it in this program?
To make it in this program, you have to study. Yeah, but to belong to the best is, even during your studies, to feel your network, to attend seminars that are maybe not part of the just curriculum that you have to attend, but go beyond. Yeah. I have, for example, very good example, and we had in June 2024, so just a couple of weeks ago, an alumni conference. It was on global power shifts and the impact on the global south, with a special eye on the Sustainable Development Goals. It was an alumni conference, but we had invited our students also to attend. And some students did, but from, let's say, 80 from both batches, there were 6 there. And I mean, in general, I understand you have your own commitments, you have to work also to finance your studies, but events like this are very valuable. Yes, content-wise, but more importantly, network-wise, because you'll meet so many people. I mean, there were, almost 30 alumni there from all parts of the world with very good positions, and this is very valuable. So people like this who can see very early on, okay, I need to know the language, and second, I need to go beyond the regular curriculum, will be most successful.
Very important. Networking is the key word. And you just touched on a point about the SDGs and this program. How are the two connected?
Well, in every class, there will be a connection to the Sustainable Development Goals. So this will, I mean, we are a program that focuses on development economics, so it will be in this field. But of course, not all the Sustainable Development Goals will be equally important, but the ones that touch the economics. And then, as you heard right now, we also have like additional sessions like the alumni conference that lasted for 4 days, where there's a special focus on the Sustainable Development Goals, and we reviewed it under different angles. There was a cluster on climate change. There was this cluster on geopolitical changes, for example. So we're trying to look at it from different angles, trying to get different perspectives. Also, we did a lot of workshops so that people could actually engage with each other and not hear from us what the white German professor thinks about it, but what is actually happening on ground and what the challenges are.
Wow. So if there is anyone out there and you're interested in such topics like sustainable development goals, you're interested in topics like globalization and its impact, you're interested in trade and agreement, regional cooperation and integration, or you're interested in FDIs or data and financial debt and financial crisis. So these are all topics that are covered within this program, and I guess they are very, very relevant, particularly to the developing countries.
Yes.
And I think you will be very relevant on the job market with such skills. Yes. So Cindy, would you like to share your parting shots as we are closing this? What kind of message would you like to leave out there? We've spoken about so many things, but the overall theme is about Master of Development in International Master of Development the International Master of Development Economics, and it's also about affordability. It's about studying in Germany, and it's about a program that can change countries and lives. Would you like to share your last words for anyone who is watching this and just wants to sum up everything?
Well, in basically, I would like to encourage everyone to think about studying in Germany. I think this is a very good study destination, very affordable study destination, which also comes with like a great education system. So no matter if you're interested in this specific master's program in international and development economics, but if you're also thinking about studying in Germany in general, please look further into it, because I think this is a great and very affordable opportunity to really advance in your career and make changes and an impact on people's lives. And no matter if then afterwards you decide to stay in Germany, Europe, or the US, or you decide to return to your home countries, what I've heard is that you will end up in great positions, leadership positions, and really can make a contribution to, let's say, if you're coming from the developing world, to really make or have an impact on a positive change.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Cindy. For everyone who was following this, I was speaking to Ms. Cindy Gottstein, who is the program manager of this MIDE program at the HTW University of Applied Sciences, Berlin. And my name is MentorBwete from Toronto Consult. And if you need any assistance or help on how to go about the process, feel free to reach out. Thank you, Cindy. It was really great speaking.
Thank you, Stephen, for having me.
Yeah, I will hope to talk to you again later. Bye-bye.